Alright, here's the deal. For obvious reasons, I feel like this is a season of reform for a lot of people, and for myself especially. I've been able to talk to some of you about this already, but for those of you that aren't familiar with what's happening yet, I'm moving out of this apartment. And if I'm honest, this is something that even I didn't see coming, because I thought I was fixing to stay here for another year. But you know, priorities change, life happens, and sometimes you just feel compelled to answer to a different calling than you really did before. And I think that brings me to where I am now. Because circling back to when I actually moved here, and as to why exactly that was the case, of course, having my own space and abiding by my own rules and nobody else's was a big part of it. But I realized in retrospect that that had very little to do with it. Truth is, I just needed space enough to grow as a person, as a man, and just grow in my understanding of why it is I'm here and who it is I'm called to be. And I feel like there's a lot of very valuable lessons that come along with that I just would not have been able to learn, or at least I don't think I would have been able to learn those things had I just stayed at home. And I mean, it's not like I don't necessarily want my own space anymore. It's not that I don't enjoy having things the way I want them, you know, like I'm actually comfortable here. You know, I've been settled in here for a while, more or less. But sometimes you tend to need to give up the things that you want in order to be the one thing that somebody else might need. And I feel like that's where I've come to now, because being that my family is in the place that they're in, I feel like now, instead of working on being a productive member of society and of my community like I have been for the last year, now I feel like God's calling on me to circle back and be a productive member of my own family again. And that's something that, frankly, I can't do if I'm not there. And I told myself in coming here that a goal of mine was to be more accessible to the people in my life, and that I could make this a safe space where I could build a community of my own. Because like, when you live with your parents, you know, the community that you have tends to be the one that you adopt from them. And I thought that being here and being on my own would mean I could build my own community. But the exact opposite happened, because the truth is, I'm still an introvert. You throw an introvert out in the open, he's not gonna just stop being an introvert. And I didn't realize that at the time. So yeah, the one thing about myself that I thought I could fight was the one thing that ultimately became my downfall. Because instead of this being a safe place for me to build community, it more so became a bunker as a means for me to be able to hide out from the world. And I say that I'm comfortable more or less here because it doesn't feel like home, frankly. It almost feels like I don't belong here. Like, I couldn't tell you the number of nights where I've just driven around town late at night after work because I didn't want to come here, because I just didn't feel like I belonged here. And some of those nights I was too ashamed to even go to my family's house, because like, I just wasn't able to swallow my pride at that point. I wasn't humble enough to say that, frankly, I can't function on my own. Or even if I can, my heart won't let me feel that, and my brain just won't let me think that. But yeah, being here undoubtedly has brought me a lot of experiences, a lot of knowledge that I otherwise feel like I wouldn't have been able to obtain. Like, this phase of my life has run its course. It's taught me what it needed to teach me. I feel like it's time to move on. And an insecurity of mine over the last year has been watching everyone else make changes that I wasn't able to make. Seeing how everyone around me is getting married, having kids, starting their own businesses and all that stuff. And 3, 4, and 5 years ago, I would have thought I'd have been in a much different place than I am right now. Let's just say I expected to be set for life by the age of 21. I mean, it's cute to have a childhood dream, but without ambition, it means absolutely nothing. And I didn't realize that back then, which is why I got off to a pretty late start in life. And that's been an insecurity of mine for a long time, and I realized it's 100% my fault. And I guess that's why I was in such a hurry to get all this done as quick as possible. But in retrospect, why the rush? How far do you think you are behind, and by what standard? This isn't a race to the finish line, and even if it was, you should at least try to pace yourself. Because I mean, what's it really worth to finish first if you don't finish strong? I want to finish strong. What can I say? Being here has brought me to some new highs and some new lows. It's brought me to places I never thought I would ever be. And I like that. But be that as it may, I'm not very possessive either. At least not at all like I used to be. I used to hold on to a lot of different things. The textbook hoarder, if you will. But coming to this new understanding that when we leave this world, we don't get to take any of it with us. We leave it all behind, and it all goes off to somebody else, and it's something we essentially have no control over. It makes it easier to let go, I feel like, which is why I'm perfectly content with letting this place go. After a lot of thought and a lot of prayer and seeking counsel from everybody, really, and being able to speak to them about this sort of stuff, it's not that I haven't always been fortunate enough to have a circle of people to counsel me and to build me up in the areas that I actually might be doing something right, and to counsel me in the things that I might be doing wrong. It's not that I haven't always had that. I just never took advantage of it the way that I do now. And now I feel like I'm really building my life up piece by piece, and I'm grateful to all the people that are able to help me and to guide me along the way. And now I can walk in confidence in knowing that, being that I've worked all this time to be a good coworker and to be a good community member, maybe I can circle back to building myself up and being a good brother, being a good son, being a good friend. That's what I hope to accomplish over this next year. So yeah, if you made it this far, thank you. If you're actually invested in what's going on here and you genuinely care, thank you. It means a lot, really. And for everybody that I've been able to speak to about this already before even making this video, really, your words of affirmations and your assurance that I'm doing the right thing, it means the world, really. So again, thank you. Now anyways, you're sitting on my desk, so I'm gonna kick you off so I can break this desk down and get it moved over. Thanks for hanging out, if you made it this far. And yeah, we'll see y'all later.